This forest is home to my personal backyard trails, and you guys seem super hyped for these videos. These trails aren't actually in my backyard, but I can ride here in less than a minute. I've been building here for a while now, and next week you'll see the first build. I've been building this park with a few other friends and neighbors, so that's who we refers to. The trails are coming along nicely, and I think we have a great start, so let me give you a tour of what we have so far. This first trail is called our main line. This was the first trail we built, and I learned a lot about the art of trail building here. This trail starts at this log and has a short run into the first jump. The lip used to be built up, but I decided to break down the jump while still keeping it fun. You can launch it all the way to the rock slab and get tons of air out of it, or you can simply roll it. Since this was the original jump, it has been altered many times to ensure that it's well built. Once you land, you go into a right turn, then 2 berms. This first berm is honestly useless because it points you in a weird direction, but the second one is awesome. This berm is super smooth and rounded off, and you can carry speed through it well. The first edition was actually a 180-degree berm, but it was way too tight to ride comfortably. This berm is much wider, and it feels like a standard one at Duthie. Next, there's a roll over this log. I actually jumped this now that the berm is built up, but you can definitely still roll it. The second section of the trail is my favorite, and we designed it to be like Gravy Train at Duthie. The start is this fun little drop that I usually pump for speed. The drop has an alternate line which isn't rollable, but I don't usually do it because you get less speed. After the drop, there are 3 fun jumps in a row. The first one is the biggest and is comparable to the 3rd or 4th jump on Gravy. The lip's radius is very nice and it's really fun to session. The second jump shortly follows the first, and they feel similar, except this jump is a little smaller. The landing collapsed because it wasn't packed enough, but we can rebuild it at a later date. The last jump has more than enough setup time and is backed up against a log for extra support. This lip is the widest and kickiest, but the landing is basically non-existent. That's how small it is. The next line is our short tech trail, called Gear Jammer. This doesn't have any roots, but contains tons of rocks, and I divide it up into 2 sections. The first part is filled with spaced rocks that are actually securely dug into the ground. There are some fun lines to session, and the placement of the rocks allows you to get really creative. Next is a steeper pitch with a short rock garden. These rocks are spaced very closely, and they're smaller rocks than at the beginning. The second part starts with a super fun rock slab jump. This is a small gap, but you can't really get injured because the jump is so low speed. Lastly, you go into one of our source pits, which is by far the most creative feature at the park so far. We used dirt from here to build everything on this lower face, so the pit has become huge. You ride into the pit after the rock gap and then jump out of it or roll out of it. I'm thinking of extending this trail further, except there are no more steep areas here. The other 2 trails are up at the top of this hill, so we need to do a bit of walking. You walk past the start of Mainline and reach the entrance to these trails, which don't actually have names yet, so leave your suggestions in the comments. This first trail is a blue, or intermediate technical trail, even though there's only 1 small rock garden. This trail has some off-camber riding until the steep part, which travels about 30 feet of vertical in a matter of seconds. This rock garden is the hardest part, and it's fun, but Gear Jammer is much more sessionable due to its short length. At the bottom of this valley, you go up a small hill and turn left. The uphill is a smooth transition where you don't need to pedal because you come in with a lot of speed. The last part of the trail shoots you to the end of Gear Jammer and Mainline, and that's the end. This final stretch is fairly flat and straight, but we installed some rollers to make it more fun. Now we have come to my personal favorite trail, or jump depending how you look at it. This was designed to be like Deepwater Horizon at Duthie, but the jump turned out not even similar. The vibe, however, is the exact same because it's one of the most sessionable jumps there is. You start with a massive straight run-in to the jump. The start of this is right next to the blue tech trail, and the walk-up is right between. The lip of this jump has a perfect radius, and there are 2 options when jumping it. First, you can go very slow and land in the middle with very low consequence. I don't usually do this, but my friends sometimes do it for practice or just for warm-up. The true reason I love this jump is because of the bigger landing, which is about a 15-foot gap. This is on top of the ridge, and it could be considered a pro line when landing here. You need to pedal like crazy to clear it, so I'm actively making slight changes to the run-in to improve the rider's speed. I could just ride this jump for hours because it's really fun to lap and it's just a good jump. Though it's not that great for tricks, I want to build a similar, steeper jump which will be a little bigger in size. So that's my backyard bike park, and I hope you enjoyed. Next week, we will get into the builds, and remember to leave your video ideas and trail names in the comment section below. I have 9 acres to build on, so I'm really open to suggestions. Before we go, I'll show you a first-person run through our trail system as it stands. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next week.